Okay, welcome to Grant's shop. The Mad Modeler is at it again. This is episode 9, I hope, of the Camel build. Episode 8 was the building of the wings. Well, the wings are complete, or at least they were, until I noticed that doing some more research on the real aircraft, they wrapped some steel around the trailing edge of the wire onto the wing rib for some support. And I thought, you know what? That might just show through the covering, so I need to do that to mine, and it will also help reinforce this joint because there's not a lot of contact area between the trailing edge of this wing rib and the trailing edge itself. So I've used some aluminum duct tape and gone around it, and after I've gone around it, I've dropped a little bit of thin CA down in there to penetrate and hold it on. That should help reinforce these trailing edges. Also notice too that there are a couple PDOT tubes, or pipes you would call them, aluminum tubing, that ran from the right wing, top wing, over to the center section, and then they met up at the center section and were connected with a piece of rubber hose. Well, I went ahead and I made those connections. Right now, those are eyeglass screws and nuts. That's a piece of aluminum rod with a piece of heat shrink over it. And it's just here for decoration, for show. And I need to finish gluing them in and securing them and positioning them and put a little dab of epoxy right here to keep them from vibrating around, because I'm pretty sure every part of this airplane is going to vibrate with this engine. So anyway, I'm going to start tonight with Sig Stix-It. I know you can't hardly get this stuff anymore. I'm lucky enough. I have a whole cupboard full of dope products. So I got some dope, man. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put some Stix-It here on the balsa part of it. Now when I go to cover this, I'm not going to be able to really Stix-It to here. There's not a lot of surface area, but what I'm going to do is I will super glue it. I'll use some thin CA. I'll tack it down on the ends with the Stix-It, and then I'm going to use some thin CA and glue it onto the lead and trailing edge. And then I'm going to do the bottom first, and then I'll do the top, and I will thin CA both top and bottom to each other before I tighten, because I don't want them pulling loose. If I use some, super glued to the bottom on, and then use some Stix-It and put the top on there, when I go to put the nitrate dope on it, that nitrate will tend to loosen up the Stix-It. And if you tighten it, after you tighten it and you add the nitrate, it might soften up the Stix-It enough that your covering is going to pull. So we don't want to do that. So anyway, I'm going to prepare this, and I'm going to let it dry. And while it's drying, I'm going to put a dab of epoxy on those pipes. And then I'll do the other wings. So stay tuned, I'll be back. Okay, so we got our Stix-It on. Now let's talk about fabric. I'm using Sig Coverall. Sig Coverall will tighten more in one direction than the other, and you can tell there's a finished edge on this. You can see where the stitching is. That means this stuff will tighten more in this direction than it will in this direction. So you want to use that to your advantage. You want to lay this lengthwise down the wing. If you do it the other way, you're going to end up with this scalloped effect in between the wing ribs. Most people don't like that. I don't. I'm not going to do that. Now this particular airplane is a bit different than a normal model build, in that if I was going to build it normally, I would have put some sort of balsa wood backing or something around here so that I can, put the covering down on it and it'll hold. But on the real aircraft, they didn't do that, probably just to get them built and out the door as fast as they could. All they did was cut a hole in it, put the fabric on there, and then later on put a reinforcement around it. So that's what I'm going to do. I have my trusty pair of scissors, or I had them around here somewhere. What are they? Oh no, where'd they go? I tell you what, I would lose my mind. Well, I have lost my mind. Sorry. Okay, found my scissors. Ugh. Before I start, I want to make sure these things are nice and sharp. I've got this diamond hone. This is a fine. I'm going to take this blade and I'm going to put a quick hone on that edge. You want to kind of push and drag. You don't ever want to pull it this way. That'll leave a burr. So you want to push and drag and put a nice sharp edge on there. You even do it this way too. That would almost give it a crosshatch effect. Do it on both of them, because unfortunately these scissors get used and abused. I think last I was cutting aluminum with them. But these are really good, expensive scissors. They're good hard steel. So we're going to sharpen them up. Fiskars. Ooh, that feels good. All right, let's get a few things out of the way here. We're going to cut ourselves out a swatch of cloth. I wish I could feel my fingers. I got carpal tunnel like you can't believe lately. Okay, see how nice and sharp they are? It goes right through this stuff without a problem. Let me tilt that camera up just a bit. Here we go. Now I get my fat gray belly in the frame there. That works, yep. See how nice that is? Nice and sharp. Okay. Next, I'm going to take a brand new X-Acto knife blade. I already have one queued up here. And we're going to, well, we need to start marking these holes for the struts. And for right now, I'm just going to, I thought that was a new blade. That is not a new blade. That one is. Okay. I'm going to cut a hole. Like you guys can see that. Now, sorry guys, I get working along here and I forget I'm trying to make some film of this. So, sorry about that. That's not going to go right, but I got a spot. I know where it needs to be. So now we're going to cut it out just a little bit more. Yeah. Get some better scissors in there, some smaller ones. There's a smaller hole, and we'll get across there and across there and across there. See, now it's kind of sticking out there. I'll do one over here on this side so you guys can actually see it this time. I'm going to pull it tight, somewhat tight, kind of feel for where it's supposed to be. Come on, cooperate with me, will you? Fine, you don't want to do it that way, we'll do it this way. Now fold it and then cut it. There's more than one way to skin a camel. Get it? Skin, cover, camel. Got it? Okay. I know, stupid joke. You probably have more subscribers if I didn't have such stupid jokes, huh? Alright, so I'm going to tack it at this side because I want to keep it somewhat tight. So we're going to tack it across there, across that spar area. Great job, Grant. Just smack that camera around. Who cares? I'm going to tack it here. And I'm going to pull it at an angle. I'm watching for this area here to see if I can't get it to tighten up a little bit. Not a lot. We're just going to tack it there. I'm going to come over here to this end, and we're going to pull and tack here. Let's tack across this too. Now this wing is an undercut or under camber on this wing. This is going to be a little bit of a challenge because, of course, when you tighten the fabric, it's going to want to pull up. So I've been thinking there's a couple different ways to do rib stitching on these. Simulated rib stitching. One of them was with Elmer's glue, you know, out of a syringe. It works wonderful. It looks great. You lay your pinking tape down first, and then you put the Elmer's glue over the pinking tape. That way it stands out. But I'm almost inclined, since this aircraft has this undercambered airfoil, I'm thinking I might literally stitch it on there just so that I pull the fabric up to the bottom of the wing. All right, there we go. Now we got that one. Tack it here. Tack it across here. Like so. Come up to here. Tell you guys, I am very excited to see this camel getting close to being finished. Story about it. Years and years ago, my brother got a really good deal on an old Zenoa G38. This thing was brand new at the hobby shop, and the guy that owned the hobby shop says, I'll give you a great deal if you really want that engine. Well, my brother knew nothing about gas engines, wanted to have a big airplane, so he bought this engine. And then after he bought it, he was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to put it in. So I said, why don't you build a Fokker D7? Balsa USA makes a great Fokker D7, and I happen to know that they're really good flying airplanes, even for scale. Yeah, okay, that sounds like a good idea. So he buys this Balsa USA D7, and he gets it 99% of the way framed up. And I'm looking at him building this D7 saying, you know, I can't let that German airplane fly in my skies. I need to build something. So it says, my brother, I got to build something opposite so I can shoot him out of the sky. So our original plan was, I'm going to build this Softwith Camel. He's going to build his Fokker D7. We're going to put lasers in the gun sights, laser detectors on the planes. We're going to put FPV systems in it, and we can have dogfights. I mean, honest to God, dogfights, radio control style, and I can rig up. I know how to do it. I was going to rig up some detectors on the plane so that if either one of us got a kill, it would turn the smoke system on for about 2 or 3 seconds. So I get scratch building a Camel, and then I see this Mick Reeves kit on eBay, and I'm like, oh, there we go. Now there's a nice Camel kit. So I start in on the tail surfaces of this very airplane, and my brother passes away. All right, now here we're going to do the super glue trick. I want to take this time to let you know that my brother was diabetic. He was type 1, insulin dependent, with the needle deal. He had been since he was 6 years old. And the one thing he couldn't stop was drinking. Even after we saw a good friend of ours go blind from it and die from it, he couldn't quit drinking. Well, one day a mutual friend of ours called me up, says, hey, have you heard from Mark lately? I says, no. He says, well, this mutual friend of ours worked with Mark at the school district. He says, well, He's been a no call and no show for 3 days. I'm like, oh no, he's had another insulin reaction. So I couldn't go to my brother's house. I had to call my mother. Say, hey, Mom, Mark's been no call, no show for 3 days at work. So, all right, I'll go check on him. About 15 minutes later, I get a call that he has passed away. He had a reaction in the middle of the night. He wouldn't eat. He liked to drink on Sunday nights. And it killed him. So, I let the Camel sit for quite a few years. At that point in time, I didn't know whether I wanted to continue modeling or not. Well, I decided I'm either going to do it big or I'm going to sell everything I've got. So I decided, well, I'm going to take a wall out of my house in the basement. I'm going to make a bigger shop and I'm going to really go all out. So I am like wanting to see this Camel finished. I'm wanting to see that Fokker D7 finished, which this mutual friend of mine has got. I turned it over to him. And we're going to go on with this plan of dogfighting these World War I planes. So it's kind of bittersweet to see this thing get as far along as it is. Alright, just trimming off the edge. That super glue wasn't dry yet. It just tried to... You know how your skin acts like an accelerant for this stuff? Yeah. I love that. So if you ever want something to really stick and you don't have any accelerant nearby, just stick your finger on it. That works. Now, of course, you're going to leave some of your DNA on there, but who cares, huh? All right, let's tighten that down. See how nicely that's turning out? That's fairly tight. I like the coverall because for one thing, it's not going to tear or pull off of here. So I really don't care if it's a little bit pruned right now. It's really not that bad. I can go ahead and tighten this up and then nitrate that and put the reinforcement around it and do some simulated stitching where the reinforcement is. I wonder why I sit here and, you know, smooth it out with my finger, and then I wonder why my finger gets stuck to my mustache at times, you know. Way to go, Grant, you dummy. Don't itch your nose while you're working with the stuff. And don't leave your finger on there too. Wipe, don't stick. It will stick. Okay, so I got the leading edge all glued down. I got the trailing edge all glued down. Let's see those nice pair of scissors go to work there? Look at that. Nice sharp scissors. That's what we want. I'm going to trim this up back here. This is where I start, you know, like I showed in the monocoat video of the Schweitzer. Just trimming and securing the edges. I'm cutting this a little bit long because I'm going to fold it over and put it on the inside of that wing rib. And let's begin the folding. Oh, I need to make a couple little cuts in it. I need to make a couple cuts right here where those spars are at. And then trim it shorter than the other. And then we're gonna take the iron and fold it over and secure the ends. And I'm about ready to take off that sock because it's snagging on everything. I don't need it on there anyway. I'm not working with monocoat. There we go. That works. All right, now we're gonna smack it up onto here. I do like coverall. It produces a fantastic finish. I am a dope fanatic. I think Aircraft dope gives you a fantastic finish if you can stand the smell. Later on, when I get nitrating this thing up, I'm going to throw on some Pink Floyd and I'm going to enjoy my evening. All right. I'll do the other side. And yes, I can cover a plane pretty quick. I've only done this a few hundred times. I've had a lot of people ask me to build their planes for them, and I used to do it in the past, but I don't like doing it anymore because I am selfish with my time. All right, let's keep going around on that end. All right, now I'm going to cut this even closer. And get it ready for the top. Alright, I think you guys get the idea on this. I am going to proceed with the rest of the wings and the ailerons and all of that. Then we're going to come back and I'm going to show you my two methods of rib stitching. Okay, it's on to rib stitching. The ribs on a full-size airplane they've got a piece of felt that goes over the top of the rib. And then over that felt is a stitch. So we're going to reproduce that felt with a piece of 8.5 by 14 regular copy paper. It's not really there for thickness purposes, but for it will show up. It will show through, and it really makes your stitching look that much better. Now the width of my ribs is 1/8 of an inch. I want it slightly wider than that. I want about 5/32. Yeah, I know I'm getting a little bit anal about it, but I want it just slightly wider than the rib. And then I'm going to cut strips out of this because I want the stitch to overhang the felt. So bear with me and I will get this all marked out and cut. Alright, now that everything's all doped up, including me, I will show you how to apply these. Get a good old nitrate, or butyrate, you could even use that, or even sticks it, or whatever. We're going to cut, this is the aileron section down here, remember? So I'm going to cut one of them loose. I've already cut through it all. We're going to peel it up. And if I measured correctly, we should be able to go from the front all the way to the back. Wow, look at that. I must have done something right in a previous life. Now, let's see if the nitrate will stick it down. If not, I may have to use some Stix-It. Yeah, well, it sticks good to my thumb anyway. Now's the time, if you've got a weird wobbly wing rib, you can actually kind of fool people by laying this stuff on straight, and it'll make you look like you're a better builder than you really are. Alright, so there's one. We'll cut out another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. Well, yeah, you can see where I'm going with this. This is why I said you can do stitching even on this big quarter scale Camel. You can do it in an evening. And to make sure I got both ends cut before it peeled. Now remember, I'm peeling off of wax paper. I want to make sure I get the wax paper off the back, so that I don't try to glue the wax paper to the aileron, because it will not stick. And there's a piece of wax paper. The other one came off. This one did not. So we pull that off. Add some nitrate. And we sticks it on here. Come on, and we stick it, and we stick it, and we stick it on the plane, not on my thumb. Okay, cool. Oh, sticking to my fingers. How do you like that? Well, let's nitrate some more. Let's try a smaller contact area to maneuver this, like the tip of a knife blade instead of my fat fingers. Well, looky there. It kind of worked. All right. I'm going to continue doing this aileron, and then I will come back with the pinking tape that will go over it. And then once that's done, you can pretty much guess how the rest is going to go. Except for areas like the aileron where the strut mounts are. I will be cutting a piece of regular copy paper to look like the backing that goes around it, and I'll dope it right straight to this. Now this wing and this aileron have already had one coat of nitrate on it. That's all I wanted for now, is just one coat. Because this, I want it all to be coated and glued together in one unit. Okay, let's talk pinking tape. I've used this stuff on a lot of models. This is women's hair set tape. It's kind of hard to find now because, like everything else, people go out and have things done instead of doing it at home. I would use this on this plane, but this is pink, and it will show through on the bottom of this wing, since the wing is, the bottom is not painted. That just isn't going to look right. On other models it works great because it's already got the pinked edge on it, and it's almost perfect for quarter scale width. So instead of that, I have some of this 3M micropore tape. It's a medical tape that I have cut at, I'm trying to think, 7/16 wide, a little over half an inch. And I can, since it's sticky back, it works great for just sticking it on there. Like so. Now, I don't care about the pinked edge at this point. I've seen on a lot of Camels and a lot of other soft widths that sometimes they didn't use the pinked edge. So, what the heck? So we're going to cut it off here at a point where I can make both ends meet without too much of a fuss, as if it'll get off my finger. This stuff can stretch a little bit. It is fairly easy to work with, and we'll just roll it over. And now, all I need to do is finish up the stitching area, and then I'll go around the edges with it. And we will have one complete aileron. This part will be ready for covering, or excuse me, ready for paint. And it'd be on to the rest of the wing. I mean, it's not going to take long. Like I said, it can be done in an evening, depending if your evening is as long as mine, which is about 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 hours, who knows. So we're just going to wrap it around there. See how sweet that works? Looky there. Cut it off. The adhesive on this stuff is not affected by dope. Oh, I'm going to need to get a little bit tricky here. Okay. So, I'm going to need to cut it a little bit, which means I'm going to need a good sharp X-Acto blade. And the one that's in that knife handle right now is not sharp. So going around this curve, I put the tape right in the middle, and then I pulled to get it to bend over both sides. Now it still had a few little wrinkles when I was done, so I applied some heat from my monocone iron, and it worked very well. So that's it. This aileron is ready for paint and clear dope.